Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Pearl Jam Knits. My name is Emily. I'm a knitter crocheter based out of Denver, Colorado, and this is my knitting podcast where I share my current knitting projects, any finished objects I may have, as well as any yarn acquisitions I may have made and plans that I might have for those acquisitions. Today's going to be a pretty short episode. I do only have 2 projects on the needles. I don't have any finished objects to share. But I do have an impulse buy and an impulse cast on to share. So let's just get right into it. I impulse bought this yarn from Michaels. This is the Karen Macchiato Cake in the color Boundless. And as you can see, it's like a very cozy sort of autumn fall color scheme. It's got burgundy, like a dark blue, a light blue, some beige in there, and like a golden orange. It's just really pretty and like very cozy. So I just really loved the color of this yarn. I typically wouldn't reach for like a craft store acrylic yarn, and that's not because I'm a snob. I'll tell you why. So I crocheted a sweater last year out of Lion Brand Heartland, which is a 100% acrylic yarn. And the yarn itself was very pretty, but when I wear it, it's just like I just feel like a little bit sweaty when I wear that sweater. And I think it's because it's the 100% acrylic yarn. It's just like a very stuffy feeling when I wear it, and it's not very comfortable. So, but it's weird because it's also not warm. Like the sweater itself is not warm, but I feel stuffy and sweaty when I wear it. And I think that's because of the material it's made out of. Because I don't have that feeling when I wear my wool garments or my cotton sweaters. So anyway, that kind of deterred me from using acrylic yarn thus far in my knitting career, but I just couldn't help it. I really loved the colors. Plus this yarn is composed of 80% acrylic and 20% wool, which is kind of cool. And it's really soft. It also has sort of like a little bit of a halo effect. It has these like white fuzzy halo fuzzies going on. It is a single ply yarn, so it's just one ply that's twisted tightly together. It is a bulky weight, but yeah, basically I just couldn't help myself. I fell in love with the color. I kind of like at that point convinced myself like, yeah, I could use this for a project, like I'll figure something out. So I bought 2 skeins. So each skein is 227 grams and 481 yards. So 2 skeins would equal, okay, so 2 skeins equals 962 yards of yarn, which is a sweater quantity for me. And each skein was $12.99 at my local Michaels. So with that, I brought the yarn home. I kind of browsed a few patterns on Ravelry, but then I had the bright idea to knit another step-by-step sweater. So a little bit of context, I did knit a step-by-step sweater this past winter. So the February of this year, about 6 months ago, I knit a step-by-step sweater, and that was my first like real knit garment, which was exciting. But with that, since it was my first, I didn't really know anything about gauge. I didn't know anything about like gauge, yarn, needle size, that kind of thing. So I just followed the pattern. I bought the suggested needle size, I bought the suggested yarn, and I just went for it and I just started the sweater. So that resulted in a sweater that unfortunately was too small. I am a tight knitter, so my gauge was off by quite a significant amount. And the sweater is too small, so that's one reason I don't get a lot of wear out of it. But I also don't like the yarn that I used. I used the suggested yarn, which was Drops Nepal, which is a wool and alpaca blend. And I'm not sure if it's the wool or if it's the alpaca, but one of them is irritating to my skin, so it's pretty itchy. And typically if a sweater is itchy, I would just wear like a long sleeve shirt underneath to mitigate the discomfort. But since the sweater is too small, the sleeves come up to about like where my hair tie is. So they're like bracelet length sleeves, they're a little short. And if I wear a long sleeve shirt underneath, the long sleeve shirt pokes out from beneath the sleeve because the sleeve of the long sleeve shirt is longer than the sleeve of the sweater, which I really don't like the look of. And I don't like the feeling of having to like try to stuff it into the sleeve all day. And since the sweater is too small, the collar kind of rides up a little bit and it's tight. So if I wear a long sleeve shirt, the collar of the crew neck long sleeve tee doesn't come high enough to cover the collar of the sweater. So and my neck is like the most sensitive part in terms of like itchiness. So it's just uncomfortable. The yarn is itchy, the sweater's too small, I don't love the fit, but I do love the design of the sweater, and I loved the process of knitting that sweater. It was so much fun. So I kind of always knew I would knit another one, and I thought that sweater is perfect for this yarn because it's a plain stockinette raglan sweater, and this is a variegated yarn. So I thought the plain stockinette would really highlight the striping of this yarn. Plus I had so much fun knitting it, I knew it would be a really satisfying project, and it would be a really nice break from my other project I have going on right now, which is my Sandro Pullover. And that's an all over cabled sweater, a drop shoulder sweater. It's just got a lot going on in terms of construction. So I'm a little bit burnt out from the Sandro Pullover right now, just because I went through so much with the shoulder construction, the neckline, all that stuff, plus working the cables at the same time. I just kind of need a break. I needed something simple, a little bit mindless, something that's like gonna work up quickly and is a satisfying project. So with that, I went ahead and cast on the step-by-step sweater. This is my progress so far. I am knitting the size C. So my first sweater I knit, my previous step-by-step sweater, I did knit the smallest size because I'm 5'4" tall, and I weigh around 107, 110 pounds. So that just goes to say I usually opt for like smaller sizes, like in commercial clothing. So I figured I should knit the smallest size. But again, this was before I really knew anything about gauge. I didn't know my specific body measurements. I just thought, well, since I wear an extra small in clothes, I should knit the extra small sweater for the pattern. But it doesn't exactly work that way. So anyway, that all just goes to say I knit a size that was too small. So with this one, I know that I want an oversized fit, so I went with the size C, which will give me a lot of positive ease. And I did knit a gauge swatch for this pattern, so I'm not sure if I mentioned previously, but this is a bulky weight yarn. So the yarn is bulky weight. The pattern itself calls for an Aran weight yarn, which is one weight class below the bulky weight. However, since I am a tight knitter, I did meet gauge with the suggested needle size with this bulky weight yarn. So I am using the suggested needle size for the body, which is 5.5 millimeter, and the suggested size for the ribbing is 4.5 millimeter. And there are a few options with this pattern, so you can either opt to knit a folded collar, or you can knit a funnel neck collar, which I'll put a picture up so you can see what that looks like. I did opt for the folded collar. I did do a few rows of German short row shaping, which you can kind of see because the variegation in the yarn gives away where I did my turns, but I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, I'm almost to the point in the pattern where I need to divide for the body and sleeves. So this has been on the needles for about a week now. I cast this on August 8th, or September 8th, I'm sorry. And as of recording this video, today is September 13th. So it's been about a week, and this is my progress so far. This has been a really fun project. It's just very satisfying because it's a top-down, seamless raglan. You don't have to pick up the stitches for the collar. You just knit the collar and then you go straight into the sweater. So it's just really fun. It's very satisfying, very quick. And I love the colors. Like, this is one of those projects that I'm just excited to pull out of my project bag because I'm just excited to see the colors like every time. They're so pretty. I think this is sort of my like potato chip knit that I just need to go ahead and indulge, knit something simple, knit something fun, and then I can go back to the Sandro Pullover. I don't know, I feel like I'll just be more motivated to work on my Sandro Pullover after I take a break from it and after I knit this incredible sweater. Plus I'm excited to have this. Like, I just love the colors. I'm excited to wear it. But yeah, that's my second step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller, made with Karen Macchiato cakes in the color Boundless. So next is my Sandro Pullover. I think I had just cast this on for my last podcast episode. And this is an all over cabled sweater. It is a drop shoulder sweater with European shoulder construction. And it does have a recommended positive ease of about 10.5 inches. I think it's about 10.5 to 13 inches. So it is supposed to be pretty oversized. I'm a little bit worried because this does not look oversized on me right now. And I'm really hoping and praying that it's because the cables are cinching in the sweater. And I'm hoping too that the yarn grows with blocking because it is a superwash yarn. And I have heard from more experienced knitters that superwash yarn usually grows a lot with blocking. So we'll have to see. But as of right now, it does not look like it's gonna fit. I'm really hoping it expands with blocking. I did a gauge swatch for this pattern too, and it did, I matched gauge. So I don't know, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this is an all over cabled top down European shoulder construction drop shoulder sweater. It is a DK weight pattern, and the suggested needle size for the body is 4mm. It does feature 1x1 rib details, which I haven't started yet, but the suggested needle size for the ribbing is 3.5mm for the sleeve cuffs and the hemline of the sweater. And it does actually call for a 3mm needle for the collar of the sweater. And I believe it features a folded collar as well. Yeah, it does feature a folded collar as well. And the yarn that I'm using for this is the Knit Picks Swish DK in the color Nutmeg Heather. It's sort of a tan, beigey neutral. It is slightly heathered, but the tonality of the heathering is very subtle. So it just has like very subtle gradients of like a lighter tan and a darker tan, but they're not super noticeable. And I actually picked this yarn because I wanted something easy to style. I wanted something neutral. I wanted like a wardrobe staple that I could wear throughout multiple seasons and with multiple different like accessories and color schemes. But I think it is contributing to why I feel like I'm in a rut a little bit with this project. I do sort of wish I would have chosen a more exciting color. I think the neutral color, along with the drop shoulder construction, along with the cable repeats, it's just putting me kind of in a rut. I'm not excited to pull this out and work on it right now. And I'm also having a little bit of tensioning issues with this project, which I think also contributes to my just like lack of excitement when it comes to knitting this. I think it's just making me feel a little bit discouraged. And the tensioning isn't crazy, like it's not terrible. And I think a lot of it will be resolved with blocking, but hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about on camera. There's just a little bit of tension issues. And I do believe that you can see sort of a stark line where I started knitting in the round versus where I was knitting back and forth. And that kind of makes me a little worried too, that my gauge will be off knitting in the round versus when I was knitting back and forth. I think I need to trust the process, but as of right now, I'm just not excited about this. So I'm kind of taking a break, waiting until I gain momentum and motivation again. And I think once I complete the step-by-step sweater, I'll feel that way. I think I'll be more excited to pull this out and work on it. But as of right now, I just am not excited about it. So it's gonna take a little break in this project bag, and hopefully I can still finish this by the end of the season. This was one of my big goals for fall of this year, was to complete a textured cabled sweater. And a little bit on pricing. So the cost of this pattern was $10, and I did purchase this yarn from the Knit Picks website. It was about $5.59 per skein, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, it was listed for $5.59 per skein at the time of purchase, which was July of 2025. And it has gone up in price. Now it is listed for $6.99 per skein. I purchased 11 of these for my sweater. So the combined price of $10 for the pattern and $61.49 for the yarn equals a $71.49 sweater altogether. And I don't know if I mentioned, the step-by-step sweater is a free pattern on Ravelry. So the cost of that sweater was, the pattern was free and the yarn was $12.99 per skein, so altogether about $26. But yeah, that's all I have for this week. Like I said, it's kind of a shorter episode just because I don't have a whole lot going on right now. My main focus is on this step-by-step sweater just because I'm like so excited about it. So hopefully I have a few updates to share in the next couple weeks, but as of right now, that's all I have. I hope you guys had a great week. If you like these kinds of videos, feel free to like or subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you in 2 weeks.